I did go buy pumpkins last night, but I have no idea where to start. And I'm afraid of the mess, really. But we are counting down the days to Halloween now. And if you haven't carved your pumpkin yet, now's the time to do it. And do it properly with tips from Barry Brown.
Barry, it's my favorite time of year, and I know it's yours too. How are you?
I'm great. It's a great time of year. The season is so fun.
Yes, it is. Okay, so for those who haven't had the incredible pleasure of meeting you yet, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I came from a small little spooky town in Colorado called Erie, Colorado, surrounded by pumpkin fields. I graduated from the University of Northern Colorado with a music and theater degree, and I moved to Denver to do some shows, and I found a grocery store carving kit with a contest on it. And I won the contest and accidentally met the people that made the first ever carving kit that lived in Denver, Colorado. So I started working for them.
I actually didn't know that story. That's actually really, really cool. And I love that you started off with just a kit, because so many of us see pumpkin carving and just get super overwhelmed. At least that's how I am. So it's really nice to know that you also started with just a kit, and look at where you are now.
It's really important, that little kit, because the tools and the method work really, really well. I've done carving, online carving parties recently, and I see people using other kinds of tools and other kits, and it just doesn't register for me. These tools that I use are made specifically for pumpkin carving the right way, and they're actually made in the USA too. So I love getting to share that method, because it really does open people's eyes, and they say, I really did do that myself. So it's fun to use those methods and have that success.
Yeah, it's so true. And it just, everything that you do is just so incredible. All the pumpkins behind you. And it sounds like you're making something special for a Coloradoan company today. What do you have for us?
Well, it's sort of a tradition. I'm going to reach over here and get my little pattern here, because that's the way you start. You start with a pattern that you put on your pumpkin, and see the folds that kind of start the shape to the pumpkin. And if I can turn my screen here. Da, da, da. There it is, the Coloradoan company.
Oh my God, Barry, that's amazing. How long did it take you to do that?
It wasn't, I'm going to get my face in here.
Yeah.
It wasn't very long, because it's long lines, it's smooth carving. It's a pretty simple pattern, so it only took a few minutes. And that's really the fun part of it. When you get to light the pumpkin up, it really changes things. So that's my favorite thing about pumpkin carving, is when we put the light in.
Wow, Barry, that's so impressive. That's just so incredible that you can take, really, it sounds like anything, and carve it into a pumpkin. I mean, what's your favorite part about pumpkin carving? Is it putting that light in, would you say?
It is. You know, a carving party I did this week online, people were saying, how do I get rid of all the little things on the inside of the pumpkin? I'm going to turn this off and see if I can show you.
Yeah.
See, when the light's off, the carving's like, nah, it just doesn't have that pizzazz. And you can see sort of the sawdust around it. I haven't cleaned it off. There might be a few little strings and seeds in there, and they're like, how do I clean this up? I'm like, how about let's finish? And then 3, 2, 1. And it's just amazing. And I love to tell the story about, we are like pumpkins, and we have light that shines, and we can shine that light on others. And so just like a pumpkin, when the light shines, it changes things. So that's my favorite thing about pumpkin carving.
I love that. It's so metaphorical, but so perfect for exactly how we are. Our light shines on everything else. Like, I love that. Well, I have to end by talking about what's behind you here. Tell us about your book, because, I mean, this sounds like an amazing story.
Well, it's about a story of a boy in an 1880s village at the end of the harvest. And people tend to kind of get close and scared about the dark, because sometimes the end of the harvest is the end of the year. The sun's gone away, the crops are in, and they're a little bit afraid. But this boy is out there with his pumpkins, and he's asking his neighbors, like the blacksmith in the little town, the wood carver, the tailor, if he can borrow some tools. So then he goes away and carves pumpkins, these ones you see in the background here. Like he carves a violin for the wood carver, and she remembers, I carved a pumpkin for the, I carved a violin for the maestro one time. So she gets out her violin and plays a little song that she doesn't remember that she remembers. And this song comes out about the light that shines through the cracks. And that is the story of the light that shines even in the dark.
Barry, I love that. Where can we find that book if we want to grab that from you?
Well, if you go to my website, barrybrowncreative.com, On the first page, there's a little information, a little synopsis about the story, some pictures. I made the illustrations out of cut paper. And on my website, you can see the 4-time consecutive wins that I did in the Denver Paper Fashion Show, as well as all my pumpkin carvings. But there's information about how to connect with me about receiving a book.
Excellent. Barry, it's always such a pleasure to chat with you because when you're coming around, it means Halloween is right around the corner. So it's so good to see you.
Well, have a great season and shine the light.
And you can see some of Barry's incredible art, purchase the Pumpkin Kid, or even commission a custom Barry piece on Barry Brown's website. It's barrybrowncreative.com.